Welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Corey Allen, and as always, here alongside my wife, Pam.
Always glad to be here.
On Sexy Marriage Radio, we're going to have regular conversations that help cultivate the space between you and your spouse. We explore the wisdom and skills of the marriage and relationship's most brilliant minds. Sometimes those minds are our own. Through in-depth conversations with authors, counselors, psychologists, professors, and specialists, and of course, Pam, members of the nation, because they help set the course in a lot of ways with the emails they send in. So each episode, we're going to explore topics that every relationship face. And we want to offer conversation starters or actions that you can take that propel your life and marriage into deeper and more meaningful directions. So if you're new to the show or you're looking for a handy way to tell your friends about Sexy Marriage Radio, check out the episode starter packs, collections of our favorite episodes organized by topic. And they help listeners get a taste of everything we do here on the show. Go to smr.fm/starter. And then if you got some feedback for the show or something we missed or we haven't covered, let us know. Call the show at 214-702-9565, or as has been there for 12 years, feedback at sexymarriageradio.com. So coming up on today's regular version of the episode today, how well do you think you flirt?
I'm terrible at it.
I may disagree a little bit.
Okay.
How well do you think I flirt?
I think you're pretty good at it.
Well, maybe we got some things we can each learn today as we talk about how do we flirt. This is from an email that came in from a listener on wife wants him to flirt some more. And he's like, I don't even know what to do. How do I do this? Are there resources out there that'll help? So we're going to try to help frame that conversation. Perfect. And then on the extended content today, which is deeper, longer, and there are no ads, you can subscribe at smr.fm/academy. We're going to look at a comment that came through in the Academy at the my.smr.fm platform, where a wife, the way to phrase this is a wife makes a husband feel gross that he's attracted to her.
Okay.
So her reactions instigate that in him. So what's going on both sides of this equation?
Dilemma.
So all that's coming up right after this. So as we jump in, before we get into flirting, and I flirt with you on the air, I don't know if that makes good radio or not.
No, I don't think it does. No.
I am curious. This is a conversation that instigated from an old episode of Seinfeld of the idea of good naked and bad naked.
Okay, yes.
Right? I think everybody can agree that there's good naked and there's bad naked.
Yeah.
And on the show, they use bad naked as in, straining to try to open a jar of pickles, or she's working on his bike.
Working on a bike, yeah.
And, that pinched. Yeah, and he's like, I can't unsee that, Well, but it got me thinking, in other areas of our married life together, wherever everything can get woven together, and there would be elements of bad naked possibly.
Okay.
And that could be, I know across the board, there's some couples that everything's open game in the bathroom in front of each other. And then there's other couples where it's like, I'm
shutting the door.
I don't want to see anything. I don't want to know anything about some of the bodily functions that every human being has.
Right.
So my question becomes, does bad naked impact negatively our erotic energies between us, our arousal towards each other, our passion when it comes to the sexual natures of us?
Well, I would think this would be a person-by-person basis.
I absolutely do too.
This isn't just a broad
And part of this
comment.
is just to pose the question for the nation that let's jump on the platform at my.smr.fm and tell me what you think. But I'm curious.
I think it could be if my spouse is someone who just has no social awareness, no awareness that just really grosses me out, or I find it really not attractive, and they continue to do it. I'm like that. I mean, just like anything else, if you continue to do, whether it's in the naked scene or not, if you continue to do some things that I just don't like, it's going to tick me off, or
it will have impact,
deter me, or have impact on the other side of things, other aspects of our relationship, including whether I'm aroused
Right.
or turned on, or how that affects the intimate side of things.
Right, because I think there's aspects of what our minds categorize and lock away in memories that we can't undo sometimes. They just can rear their head. They can, because there's elements of, I can reframe the meaning of it, but I can't unsee some things.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to leave it at that, just to help people think through, is that something that could potentially be impacting us? Because we've even talked about in the past, there are, as you age and evolve in our bodies, there are positions that aren't as sexy as maybe they once were.
Okay, that's a whole nother topic.
Well, but it's the same principle of, that's why everything looks sexy by candlelight, or at least you increase the likelihood rather than fluorescent lights.
Lighting helps for sure.
Or sunlight directly above you.
No matter what age you are.
Exactly. But it's just that it's for those of you in the nation, and for us that are constantly, I'm constantly, back to, as we pivot towards the flirting, I'm constantly trying to figure out, how do I maintain an energy and a tension in that arena of our life, of our sex life, of our erotic, of the passion, of the connection? How do I maintain a vibe there?
Yeah.
Just under the surface as much as possible. And one of the thoughts could be, are some of the normal everyday things where we just kind of think lightly of it, in the sense that we're just walking around naked while we're getting dressed, and it just becomes kind of a known. Well, could that possibly be impacting it? That's the question.
Could be impacting it positively.
Could it be positive?
Maybe I'm someone who never wants to be naked.
Right.
And that's a deterrent.
Right. Well, there's memes I've seen on the socials, which if you check us out at Sexy Marriage Radio on any of the Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, we're there under all of them. But I've come across memes where a wife is like, I could take my shirt off for the 2 millionth time, and then it shows a husband come running in real quick, because it's like, I don't care, I always want,
right.
And I think that's a component, but this is a deeper thought process, just to help have people think through it. And how does that land? And then let us know, because I'm very curious of how this impacts people.
Love it.
All right. And so this is the other thing that came in. The email was just entitled, "How do I flirt with my wife?" And so his message goes, "My wife told me that she wants me to flirt with her more, but I don't know how. When I try, I'm too obvious and she just rolls her eyes. What are the 1, principles, and 2, practices of flirting? And then can you tell me the what, the how, and some concrete examples? And even better, do you know any resources that I can turn to help me practice flirting? I'm looking for books with homework or exercises or mantras, etc." So
fabulous.
He is coming at this. He put his research hat on and said,
fabulous.
"Hey, I'm going to email feedback at sexymarriageradio.com. Help me learn how to do this."
Yeah.
Because as you've just mentioned, this is one of those things, I think for some people, this may come natural because it's kind of their extroverted personalities.
Yeah. I'm playful. I think this way. The folks like me, not so much.
I wonder if I could put together a flirting spreadsheet that has a bunch of algorithm macros in there that help that. Okay, I've tried. I went.
No,
for
that
something.
would work for me.
Okay. Perfect.
In this situation, do that. But then as you get older, my steel trap has kind of gone out the window.
Not so trappy anymore.
I've got to have it like in written, laminated beside, throughout the house.
Right. And so I guess first off, we have to decide and define what is flirting.
Yeah.
Because some of this is going to be in the eye of the sender and the receiver.
True.
As he's describing. He tries it and she's like,
True, because her definition of flirting, or what she likes, might be clearly is totally different than what he thinks it is. So we have different definitions here of what is a good flirt.
And what makes it interesting in this dynamic to me, Pam, is just because it may not land doesn't mean it wasn't still a flirt.
I agree.
Right. I need to adjust to situation and to person I'm directing it towards. Because we've tried this. Well, let me rephrase. Over the journey I've had in the last 15 years, or so, where it was truly trying to just solidify self, be more engaged with who I really am, be more authentic, be more provocative, be more edgy, be more whatever it might be, where beforehand it was objectification is how it would land a lot of times. But then it started just becoming more expressive of just who I am. And
so in what ways? I mean, are we talking about examples here?
Well, I think there's an element of what I think of is I would try something, I would say some things, just try to elicit a reaction. That was the objectification. There was something tied to the move
beforehand,
or the statement beforehand. Okay. Now it's something that's just going on in me. I'm just sharing. And I used to always have it in mind of I'm trying to initially set a stage for it to culminate quickly. Now it's I'm just instigating things to keep an energy there.
Yeah, I think you do. And you do a good job of that, to keep an energy there and stay fun. It doesn't have to be, a flirt doesn't have to be about a sexual act.
True.
Or to lead there immediately.
True.
One of the things that you said the other night, I don't even remember what I was talking about. I was talking about needing to practice something. And you just chimed in real quick with, oh, you can practice on me. I mean, just a simple phrase like that.
Right.
I'll be there. You can practice on me.
Right.
And that, to me, that was a little fun flirt. That, right, because I'm here for you anytime.
Because one of the foundations of flirting, the way I think of this, is it's an expression of interest. That's it. It's a letting it be known. It's a, hey, I see you. Hey, I see that. And this is where it gets so interesting, like we'll be talking about in the extended content. Sometimes what I see and express goes straight into something you're not secure about, comfortable with, love about yourself, because there's an element of body image that can be coming into play. There's an element of fear that comes into play. And that's where flirting becomes such a weird dynamic in some marriages.
Oh, meaning it might not land well.
Right. That's the idea of she's like rolling her eyes.
With a different person, it might land, and with this person, it doesn't.
Which is what makes flirting such an alluring and weird kind of thing, because it'll work with some people. And then you're like, why does this not work at home?
Fair.
Right. And I don't necessarily mean you're out flirting with all kinds of people, but your playful side isn't received as playful at home. Your humor isn't received as humor at home. So there's a lot of similarities here on the different aspects of ourselves. And so I think it's just at face value, flirting is just simply, I'm expressing a playful, romantic, sexual interest.
Okay.
Dr. Glover talks about this as blurting. If it's on your mind, you let it out there. You just say it. And you probably we need to figure out how to massage it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want that to be a general rule, but yeah.
No, but a lot of time, because this is also what's so interesting that we'll be unpacking a little bit more in the extended content today too, is if you have enough 30 years with me, actually 35 and a half years of dating and marriage with me, you have a pretty accurate map of lots of aspects of my life.
Yeah.
Kind of what makes me tick. That's what we talked about last week, where I was realizing, wait, I answered yes on all these things. And it's like, I don't know if that's always a good thing or not. But so if your map is already of me that way, and something happens and you're paying attention, you probably already know, oh, he's thought this, or, oh, here we go. Oh, and sometimes that could be you're inviting it and you're hoping for it. Or sometimes it's like you're on guard for it, but it's not like you don't know.
Okay.
And so the idea of blurting comes into play when their map already knows you're interested. The dynamic between you already knows you're the higher desire. So play the part better.
Yeah.
Don't hide that fact.
Yeah. Don't hide it. Be afraid of it.
Right. Don't no, I wasn't thinking that at all. When they're reading, you're going, yes, you were.
Yeah, you were.
At least it flashed through your mind. Right. And so
own it.
Right. So owning it, because part of a principle of flirting is it has to be congruent with who you are to really land well.
Okay.
Because there have been times, I cannot remember some of the things I attempted, because one of the ideas I came across, this is a resource that I read a long time ago There's some good information in there.
Okay.
Take this with a grain of salt, but it's called Ian Ironwood's Alpha Moves.
Okay.
I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And that's a pseudonym that the guy writes under. But he goes through the whole principle of being a good alpha as a man in your sexual dynamic. And that just means bringing that presence differently with your masculinity. And so he frames this really well in the sense of being real present. And so some of the different things he talked about, I tried. And you're like, no, swing and a miss. Because it was a little bit outside of my character.
Okay.
It was a little bit like it was fake. You could kind of tell.
Yeah, I'm not even remembering that. I wish you had specific examples.
I don't remember a specific thing where I said something, but it was like, it just didn't land. You're like, who's that?
Who are you?
Right. And that's where we jokingly would say, if you try something out and it goes poorly and somebody goes, where'd you learn that from? Throw us under the bus at Sexy Marriage Radio. We'll own that. Like, well, I just figured I'd try it out. Okay. But that's good information.
Yeah.
To realize it didn't land right. And so the principle then just really comes down to, how am I being congruent with me? How are you being congruent with you?
Yeah.
And even if you don't see yourself as gregarious and funny and playful, there's still aspects of you that make you alluring and enticing and inviting. Whatever it is that makes you you, that's what you use to flirt.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you start it, is you just magnify part of who you are.
Okay.
Right? Because I think you've even said, I want to make everything in my life as fun as possible. Right? So make things fun.
Yeah.
Even things that we would normally think of as boring. How do I make it fun?
Yeah, you definitely bring that to the table, and that flows over into the other intimate sides
because
of our life.
I think one of the principles of flirting is playfulness. You're there's a playful banter, there's a playful tease, there's a dynamic, and this is where you've changed in the banter that comes back, and then it's even instigated. This is where you've evolved.
Good. Well, I want to go back to the playful tease, because I think it would be easy on a playful tease to maybe bring something that might be condescending into it.
Yes.
And that will be a flirt that won't land at all.
Well, and
nothing. It's always got to be something that.
Right. And that's probably where you have to figure out, where's that line.
Yeah.
Where's you've gotten close to the edge, but you haven't crossed it. And that's just being a good student of each other.
Right.
We all know our weak spots of our spouses if we've paid attention at all. We all know some of their insecurities if we've paid attention at all.
Yeah. So other aspects of flirting?
Well, the easiest one is complimenting.
So a compliment is considered a flirt.
Absolutely, because it's you're showing appreciation, you're showing interest, you're showing intrigue, and that's not. And again, here's the difference to me: it's not complimenting a role they've played as much as it is complimenting them as a person.
Gotcha.
Saying "I see you." I love the scene from Avatar, the first one. Towards the end, where the Na'vi would say, "I see you," and that's not just bodily.
Right.
That's I see eye to eye. I see who you are.
I see the effort you just made tonight in whatever just happened.
Or I see what makes you you. And that's the part I really do love. That's who I really want to have this banter and playful, erotic thing with. Right? That's a component of, I think, that's important to realize. Just being complimentary, just being appreciative of each other.
Yeah.
That sets a different stage in the house, because most couples, if you fall into the conundrum of the monotonous, if you will, in marriage, particularly as lovers, one of the easiest ways to bring a different energy in there is gratitude, thankfulness, appreciation of each other.
Okay. I never would have called that a flirt.
I don't know if I would say that. Maybe it's a foreplay to flirt.
Okay. Well, it sets a stage.
To use that kind of terminology. It's setting a stage. Yes. And then the others is body language, eye contact, physical cues.
Eye contact, I think, can be a big flirt. You're across the room from each other and just catching the eyes. And I mean, you've got certain looks you give each other.
And then gentle touches, the brush by.
I think just the walk by when I wouldn't normally walk by and give you a kiss. I'm just going through the kitchen or I'm going through the living room and I come and you grab the small of the neck
Mm-hmm.
and just plant a big one and then just keep walking off
Mm-hmm.
to the back of the house. Just some simple
You're
things.
saying when I do, that's a good thing?
You're right.
I'm
That's a
taking
good
notes.
thing.
Hold on.
That's a good thing. It's not that I'm going to try and walk you back there. I'm just going to show you
Mm-hmm.
I love having this kiss with you, and I'm going to keep walking after that.
Mm-hmm.
So some simple touches like that then you just keep rolling, and you don't have to say a word.
No. And the other thing that I'm going to boost you up here on, you're saying I'm not good at this.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things that you do that is good, that I think is absolutely a flirt, is you walk by and you grab a muscular area of me, an arm, a shoulder, something, and you're like, ooh, and then you just keep on going.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's an element of I
Yeah.
see you. I see the work you do. I see the value. There's an element. I'm interested in that.
And it hits ladies when you grab his bicep or his thigh and he flexes it while you're holding it.
Just got to make sure you notice how much work was just done.
That's a flirt back right there. That's both of you in tandem doing.
And then the
together.
last thing is just genuine interest in the person, because you can learn how to flirt with the person if you're paying attention to what really speaks to them.
Mm-hmm.
And most people will tell you what speaks to them.
Yeah.
And then it comes into, how do you get to the point where you can use humor? You can use double entendres, which that's one of the easiest ways to start to bring in a flirt. Is it's suggestive and it's about a environment between you. It's not specifically aimed at them.
Okay.
That's an easy way. Sincere compliments, inside jokes. That was these are some of the how tos. That's the eye looks at each other. You just know each other, and so there's this. I mean, we did some Googling and found some examples. So playful teasing. You say, "I'm so tired today," and then, well, that must be from stealing all the covers last night, huh?
Right.
Just there's just a dynamic there of, what was another one? I have so much work to do. Well, maybe I can be your motivational dance partner during your breaks. What do you think? It's just kind of, I'm interjecting myself into your world. You're interjecting yourself into my world. That's flirting.
Yeah.
It's stealing things away. One of the things that helps me the most is using the examples of, there's 3 categories to focus on. I want to instigate, escalate, and isolate. And those aren't in a particular order.
Okay.
Right? I want to instigate things, which that's the touch, that's the kiss, that's a erotic conversation or statement. I'm instigating things. I want to escalate things. That's the idea of, if you come in for a kiss, I want to make it last about 2 seconds longer.
Okay.
Escalate a little bit more. Or a hand, I pull you in closer. That's escalating. It doesn't have to culminate right then, but it's a way to use the energy. And then isolate. Let's just pull you out of your world for a second.
Yeah.
This is where I gotten the most leverage with you is, hey, I need to see you back here. And you come back, what do you need? And I give you a big kiss. That was it. And then I just move on.
Yeah.
Right. Or I show up at your office during tax season with a happy hour drink from Sonic.
Yeah.
That's an isolate. I want to just steal a moment and then I move on.
Yeah.
Those are some of the simple things that you can start to recognize. And then as far as resources he was asking for, the one that I come across, I think that looks the most intriguing, is The Art of Seduction. I have not read this.
Yeah, me neither.
But I just did a quick little search, and that was one of the things. And then, consider groups. Mastermind groups are ways you can book, because if this is all built on confidence, solidifying self in a mastermind group, which starts again in January, is one of the best ways to actually become a better flirt.
Yeah.
Because if you got some swagger to you, it lands differently.
I would agree with that. And
you let your wife understand, this isn't attached to an immediate outcome. This is just, I'm being expressive and being who I am. So and also we're going to create an area on the platform of how do you flirt, and we're all ears. What's your best advice, ladies and gentlemen out there, on what works in your marriage? Because if it works in your marriage, we can probably tweak it and define and refine it slightly to make it work in mine.
Right.
So my.smr.fm is where you can join the conversation.